For the first thing I wanted to talk about today, because this has actually kind of been this is actually a pretty recent development, actually. We now can confirm that the Switch 2 has officially sold 12 million units, which to me is just absolutely crazy. I mean, remember when just half a year ago, many people were still swearing on their love that this thing was going to be another Wii U? Well, pretty much at this point, I guess we can say that we can laugh at most of those people now, because just wow, it has already pretty much already almost matched the Wii U's entire lifetime sales in just 5 months.
Yeah, so all of
Go ahead.
Yeah, so all those quote-unquote grifters were wrong again.
Yep.
I don't know whether that's either really good on the Switch 2 part or really sad on the Wii U part.
I mean, honestly, I think it's both, because, like I said, the Wii U definitely did have a lot of potential to sell a lot better, but unfortunately, Nintendo just didn't market it well. And of course, like I said, the console itself just had like a lot of unnecessary flaws that kind of doomed it from the start. But either way, like I said,
Nintendo did a good job.
Yep,
I think I was thinking Nintendo did a good job, like stocking well. So there be no scalpers this time. The Switch had a real bad problem with scalpers in the beginning of its lifespan. But I think they learned from that. So they was like, I always see it well stocked in my stores. I know like you guys, but where I live at, I always see it well stocked. So I think that helped out a lot with the sales.
Yeah, I see a lot of Switch 2s in my area too. So it definitely is nice to see that Nintendo actually is keeping up with the supply and demand this time. Unlike what was the case last time, for sure. They definitely seem like they've made more than enough of these things, and that is definitely awesome to see. But yeah, I definitely am happy to see the Switch 2 selling so well. Especially because, like I said, it really is a great console. And honestly, even though Nintendo is definitely a bizarre company at times, I mean, they make some really bizarre decisions, I'll always be a huge fan of them, and, I always want to see them succeed. So the fact that this console is doing as well as it is definitely kind of mind-blowing, but also really good to see for sure.
I just think it's funny because you have a lot of naysayers this time around saying, like what Mark said, that there's going to be another Wii U. I won't name channels on YouTube, but there are certain channels that almost every day say that, it's underperforming, it won't sell well. I want to get the financial part well, they're doing the exact opposite, and now they're being quiet. I just find that very hilarious.
Yeah, but you know what they say, gritter's gonna grift, They're making a lot of money lying to their audience about, how quote-unquote unsuccessful the Switch 2 is going to be, and so as long as they can continue to do that and make a lot of money out the grid, unfortunately I'm sure a lot of them won't care. They're honestly just as bad as the Nintendo fanboys they claim to hate so much.
I mean, yeah, I understand like why they do it because it's good view count, but like if you don't like the system, just don't talk about it.
Exactly. Hell, no one's forcing you to buy it anyway. I mean, I'm looking at you, Dreamcast guy, fucking idiot who made like 2 months worth of videos, basically trashing the Switch 2, and then ended up buying the console himself just to make like a shitty review, and I think still talks trash about it to this day. It's like, get a life, dude.
Holy crap, that guy's still around. I haven't heard his name in years.
Yeah, he is. He's one of the grifters that I'm talking about that's been making a lot of those anti-Switch 2 videos. And, I'm sure a lot of them aren't even really being genuine in the first place anyway, because, I mean, let's be real. We live in the age of the internet now in which, people just kind of like to do whatever's trendy. So if they see a lot of people making videos talking about, oh, Nintendo is so evil now, they're so evil and great, the Switch 2 is the worst thing ever, and they're like, you know what, that can get me a lot of views. They'll turn on the camera and say those things too, in it. If they don't really mean it or don't even actually have any experience with gaming at all. And that's just kind of the sad truth. Not saying everyone's like that, but that's definitely kind of a trend.
Okay, I will call out one channel, Nintendo. He is straight up lying half his videos to his audience just to fit his narrative, that I've noticed. Especially with his like the amount that the Switch sales. Yeah, he got some valid criticism, but like a lot of stuff he said is not backed up by facts. It's backed up by his own feelings.
Yep. Nintendo, honestly, I'm just going to say this, and I don't even care if he's watching this, he's an absolute idiot. Honestly, I really do feel like that guy's pretty much just only doing what he's doing right now because he got a shit ton of views off the Switch 2 controversy, and he was like, "Oh, you know what? I should make that a career now." And so he's now pretty much just doing nothing but making videos bashing Nintendo, and it's like, what the hell, man? That's the very definition right there of a sellout.
Yeah. Like I said, his channel popped on my feed one day, like around a couple of months ago, talking about how bad Switch was going to be. I gave him a watch, I gave him a chance, but now you can see he's going down certain patterns where like every single thing come out as negative. Like, yeah, it has some problems, but like not every single thing is a bad thing for crying out loud. It's you can tell he's has an agenda.
Yep. And look, I know a lot of people rag on Nintendo fanboys, and believe me, I hate people like that too. But at the same time, these grifters that are making videos just basically doing nothing but bashing everything about the Switch 2 and acting like everything's the worst thing ever. Like I said, those people are just as bad, if not even worse, because like I said, they're pretty much just doing the opposite of what the fanboys, except they're not even really being fully genuine either. They're just completely grifting and just only trying to get money, and it's so sad. I'm all for calling out corporations, but you don't have to be a fucking pandering shill either.
Yeah, because there are some good channels out there that actually has criticism, but also like it can go down the middle of the road where they criticize the Switch 2, but also praise it when it does right. And those channels don't get near enough views because it's not polarizing. People thrive off negativity, unfortunately.
Yep, that's just the sad truth. Neon's takes just don't sell anymore. They don't make clicks. If you have like a reasonable kind of like middle of the road take, people don't want to hear that. They just want to hear everything sucks all the time, and that's just kind of the sad reality. But yeah, in regards to the main subject though, like I said, 12 million units in 5 months really is just insane, and it's like the fact that you can still find a lot of Switch 2s on the shelf too, I think it will just go to show you just how well Nintendo prepped for production of this thing for sure. So I definitely am glad they came more than prepared this time.
Also, I think their advertising being pretty good too, because like my local WalMarts and Targets and stuff, they have like these billboards and these little signs for the Switch 2 whenever a big game comes out, like when Mario Kart World came out, and then they had one for Donkey Kong Bonanza. They got one for Pokemon ZA. Like, they're good at advertising for that. So, the normal consumer know that, hey, there's a new console out, there's new games come out, come buy it.
Exactly. I definitely think Nintendo learned their lesson big time from the Wii U days, and so it's definitely great to see that they, are doing everything in their power to make sure people are aware this is a brand new console with brand new features and functionality. But that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Like I said, congrats to Nintendo for doing such a great job of keeping stock of Switch 2s for so long, and of course, and obviously the fact that the console is selling so well is definitely a great thing. And of course, fuck the grifters in that regard. But for the next subject, I want to talk a little bit about something else that was revealed not too long ago, and that is going to be the fact that the Xbox Rogue Ally X is going to, if you want like the big everything bundle, it's going to cost $1,200. Woo, boy. Now, I'm just going to say this right now.
All I'm going to say is, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to say this right now, I'm not someone who's ever going to tell you what to spend your money on, I think that's completely up to someone's own business, nobody should really be dictating what they can and cannot spend their money on. But at the same time, in my personal opinion, I think if you're dropping $1,200 on this thing, you gotta be at least a little bit crazy. I mean, come on. No matter how good this thing is, or no matter how great it runs on the newest games or whatever, I don't think any gaming machine by its own is worth $1,200. I mean, that is just absolutely insane.
I think at that point you might as well invest in a PC, to be honest.
Exactly. Especially because with a PC you get a whole bunch of other benefits besides just gaming as well.
Well, that's literally what the ROG Ally X is, a PC handheld, but with the Xbox branding all over it. And of course, in their infinite wisdom, they say, oh, this is a new product. No, it's not.
Yeah. But like I said, it also goes to show you just where Microsoft's headspace is these days. They pretty much see the Xbox brand these days as like nothing more than just kind of like a marketing vehicle for them. Like just kind of like a little like space where they can like put all the like games and branding on rather than just like the focusing on the console space. And it really is sad because I can remember like even just 15 years ago. When it genuinely seemed like Microsoft was still like a genuine competitor in like the console space, and when it actually still stood even a small chance of going like head to head with Sony, and nowadays they're just kind of turning into a joke, and it's really sad to see, especially because they really do have a lot of great games and franchises, but they keep ruining their image with stupid decision after stupid decision.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but like I've noticed like in stores that not many stores are carrying a lot of Xbox games anymore. Like for GameStop and Walmart, they have a smaller section for Xbox. Like for Nintendo and PlayStation, they still got big sizes for them. I don't know if that's a sign for like Xbox really going downhill or what, but I just find it kind of interesting.
Yeah, I definitely have kind of noticed that as well, and part of that admittedly might just be because of the fact that Microsoft is focusing a lot on digital content these days. But even still, it's like if you can't even make up shelves of like the biggest game stores these days, it's like, what are you doing?
And there was a rumor a few years ago that said it was leaving the console market soon. I don't know if that's still true or not.
Well, obviously we'll have to wait and see, but it definitely isn't. It definitely isn't looking too good for them. That's for sure. I mean, I think I've even heard rumors myself that even if they do release another console, it probably is going to be their last one. So they're kind of already going down that route. And of course, it doesn't help either that they're now publishing a lot of their games on PS5, and I think even some on Switch 2 as well in the future, from what I've heard. So it's Microsoft definitely does seem to be slowly but surely wanting to find an exit out of the console business entirely.
Now, I've never been much of an Xbox person. I really don't play Xbox for Halo games. But ever since Halo 4, I just never been interested in them anymore. And now all the games you get on Xbox, a lot of you just get on PC or PlayStation anyway. So it's like, what's the point?
Yeah. Pretty much at this point, if you're owning an Xbox, there's pretty much no reason to do so other than, I guess, just like pure brand loyalty. But even then, I mean, you can play a lot of the best Xbox games on Game Pass on your PC, so it's like, why bother? But yeah, either way, in regards to that $1,200 price tag, that is a hell no for me. I mean, that thing could literally freaking print gold, and I probably still would not buy it at that price.
I mean, in this kind of market where everybody's struggling, like $1,200 really in this economy? No thanks.
Yep. And it's like, no matter how good the games are, it's like, I just don't see any reason to drop like $1,200 in that thing. Like, it could be with the most powerful device in the world, and even then, it's like, that kind of price still is just absolutely insane. Especially, like I said, in an economy like this, when so many people are struggling and which many people are barely even affording to even just freaking pay rent. It's like you're gonna drop $1,200 on a game console. It's like, wow. But I guess maybe a lot of rich people will get it, maybe.
I don't even think so either, because like I said, if you go that much money for a console, you're just better off getting a PC and play the exact same games for better.
Exactly. But yeah, in general. But yeah, in general, like I said, it's not a good. It's not a good price point, and it is just sad to see the continued seemingly never-ending downfall of Microsoft, at least in regards to their Xbox market.
Yeah, that's sad because they used to be part of Big Three, but now it's like just be PlayStation and Nintendo now. So,
yeah, Xbox kind of has become a joke, and it's really sad. They still, even to this day, really have never recovered from the disastrous Xbox One reveal. Like, even 12 years later, they're still kind of, reaping the consequences of that, and it's sad to see.
I remember, I don't remember that reveal as much, but I remember I got a lot of negative feedback, though.
Yeah, funny enough, that was actually, like, the first, game console reveal I like, truly remember, because, it was like really the first gaming generation, because obviously I was only like 13 at the time, that I kind of really got the witness at the beginning of, because obviously, when I was like 5, 6, or 7, I wasn't really paying attention to that kind of thing. So it was like the first console generation where I got to see kind of like the whole story like unfold from the start. And I still remember even to this day just how much backlash there was to the Xbox One policies. And I remember like mocking with my friends and stuff about the whole like always on thing and the Xbox 180. Then people were using. It was definitely crazy times for sure. And like I said, Microsoft, pretty much ever since, and still has just never really fully shaken out their image from that. And ironically,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say that ironically, I kind of feel like their whole Game Pass model, even though it kind of initially started out as like a good business model for them and like a great deal, I think it's kind of killed them long term, because it's basically become like their whole freaking model now, their whole freaking business. And I think that's another reason why it's killing them slowly, because because they've been pushing nothing but Game Pass, and it's basically just kind of made Xbox more like a service rather than a console.
That's funny because Xbox have the potential to come back because they have a lot of keys they're just sitting on, not using. Banjo.
Yep. And who knows? I mean, obviously in the gaming world we have seen many times like fall and rise and then rise and then fall and then rise again. So maybe I shouldn't get like too confident in saying that Microsoft is completely done, but at this point in time I definitely don't really see like any path to return for them.
Yeah, I think it's going. I think they're pretty fine with not going back to game marketing because they got such a big hold on the computer market as is, just with Microsoft Office in general, that the Xbox brand doesn't really need savings for them, at least in their eyes.
Yeah, that is definitely a valid point, because like you said, they're mostly focused on like their PC and like other offerings like that. The Xbox brand to them just kind of seems like a little thing they use to make like extra money every now and again. So it's clearly not as much of a priority to them. But either way, like I said, it still is sad. But anyway,
to see what's next.
Yeah, but anyway, as for the next topic I wanted to discuss here, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that in addition to the Switch 2 sales, we've also gotten good reports about the sales for DK Bananas and Mario Kart World, and I just gotta say, I'm definitely glad both of those games have sold well. Even though I personally do have issues with Mario Kart World, and of course think that they could have done some things better with that game, it is still nice to see that Nintendo has done really well with it for sure. Obviously, part of it's definitely have to do with the fact that it was bundled with the Switch 2 initially, so I'm sure that fact alone probably isn't flooding its sales a little bit. But even still, like I said, it is great to see that the Switch 2 games are actually selling well too, not just the console itself.
But Mario Kart was kind of a given because it's kind of like a system staple for everybody to have one. Like every Nintendo console, usually people buy a Mario Kart game to go with it.
Yeah. Mario Kart is always definitely like a big driver for Nintendo consoles, so it's not really a shock to see that Mario Kart World is doing well. I mean, after all, we saw that even back in the original Switch. I think Mario Kart Deluxe was like the best selling game for that console, and that was even like a Wii U game originally. So Mario Kart definitely makes big bucks.
I would say I'm just happy that Donkey Kong Bonanza was doing good too, because that means that Donkey Kong brand could actually, continue on. Because I'm pretty sure if that flopped, they would probably abandon the Donkey Kong IP, or at least like not use it by itself anymore.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely does give me hope that we'll see like another Donkey Kong platformer in like a few years from now or so. But either way, But either way, the fact that DK Bananas is doing well definitely is really great to see as well. I know a lot of people are unhappy with the DLC for that game because obviously it's like $20 and it doesn't really add much at all. So obviously I definitely do agree with that. But I don't think that should ruin the core game for anybody, because the core game itself is still really great.
Yeah, I think no one's really playing about the core game. It was so much like, yeah. I don't know how to explain, but like with such high expectations DK Bonanza had and actually exceeded, they expected more with DLC, which I can't blame them for being upset because with how good a game Donkey Kong Bonanza is, that kind of DLC is just really disappointing, to be honest. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice to attention to details, like it's nice to do callbacks to DK Island and stuff, but besides the callback, there's nothing to do.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I definitely do agree that the DLC is disappointing and stuff. I'm not here to defend anything with that. I'm just saying that like in terms of like the actual game itself, I really don't think the DLC should really like ruin anyone's image of the game because the main game itself is still absolutely amazing, and I still think is like one of the best games Nintendo has released in a very long time. I will even dare say that that game, at least in my opinion, is far better than Mario Odyssey. It's just so much more fun and creative.
Well, if it was made by the Odyssey team, I'm pretty sure they improved in the 8 years. Wow, it's been 8 years since Odyssey came out. Damn, wow.
Dang, yeah. I just realized that too. Holy crap, almost a decade at this point. Yeah, I still do remember the Odyssey reveal even to this day. That definitely was a crazy time in gaming for sure.
It's funny because I don't really side but like you see a lot of backlash from Odyssey. People that say Odyssey wasn't that great. I just played the game recently and I still have fun with the game. So I don't know where the backlash is coming from, but I don't know. I still find the game pretty fun.
Well, that's fair. I mean, I don't really hate Odyssey per se. I do think it is a good game. I think it's more so just the fact that like compared to some of the other 3D Mario games, I guess for like lack of a better phrase, it just didn't really connect with me quite as much. Like I feel like the other 3D Mario games I can go back to again and again and like repeatedly enjoy them and find new things in. Mario Odyssey not so much. I feel like it's kind of like more so like the type of game like you play for like once or twice and then and then you're just kind of like afterwards. But it's still a good game and I still think it's got the classic Nintendo magic. So like I said, I don't hate the game. It's just not a game that like I guess I'm in love with. I'm in love with is what I'm trying to say. But like I said, I don't think it's like a bad game or anything like that.
Yeah, I gotta like to see that. Like, it's not like for everybody. I kind of feel that way with the Galaxy games. Not to be honest, it's hard for me to go back to them. Speaking of Galaxy games, that oh my god, those prices for the Galaxy games that releases at $7. What is Nintendo thinking with that price?
Yeah, I talked a bit about that in the last podcast episode, but I definitely did agree that those prices are just absolutely insane, and it's like, why the heck would you make them cost $70? I mean, I love the Galaxy games to death. I think they're amazing, but even then, none of them are worth $70, especially because they're literally both 15 and 18-year-old games respectively.
But yeah, I guess going back to the sales of the Switch too, it's pretty good. Like it sold that much within these past few months. Honestly, I kind of think like maybe like most of the sales come around the holiday season, but for them to get this much before the holiday sales start rolling in, I can easily see like maybe 15 or 16 million by the time we get the holiday sales in like January or February.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I could easily see the Switch 2 like hitting like even like 20 million units, still probably even by like June of next year when of course the console hits like 1 year old. That could definitely be very possible.
But yeah, I think it's just all they really need is to get more Switch 2 exclusive games. I think that's the only thing that's really holding them back for more sales. There's a lot of games they get right now, like just like the Switch 1 remasters, and I know you're gonna have some people saying, "Why would I buy a new console? I can just play the same game on the Switch 1 I already have."
Yeah, for sure. So hopefully the console actually will get new content soon, but knowing Nintendo, I'm sure it will. They always seem to have like a bunch of games like waiting in the pipeline for us, so hopefully 2026 truly will be a massive year. But yeah, there's also, in other news, there's also two other new games that are coming out pretty soon, and that are, I think, in fact, actually, literally just this coming week, and those games are going to be pretty hype as well, even though one of them is kind of multi-platform, but still, I'm going to be getting it on Switch too, and those are SpongeBob Times of the Tide, and of course, Kirby Air Riders, and let me just say, I think both those games are going to be a lot of fun, and I think both of those games are probably going to be the games I get for Christmas. Spent on time into the title, start with that one really quickly just because I have a little bit less to say about it. But I definitely do think that game just looks like a ton of fun. Easily, probably one of the best spun-out games probably of all time. I dare say it could probably even compete with Battle for Bikini Bottom. It just looks that good.
Yeah, I see it being a contender with Battle of Bikini Bottom. I don't know if it'll beat it because I think Battle of Bikini Bottom is in a league of his own, but I don't want to say for sure until we actually have the game in our hands first. But it does look pretty promising, though.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like they're putting a ton of effort and creativity into that game, and I can already tell I'm going to have a lot of fun with it for sure. So, definitely for sure that's going to be one great holiday game for me. I'm going to be getting the Switch 2 version, but of course, for anyone who doesn't have a Switch 2 yet, you can also get it on the PS5, Xbox, etc., PC. So, there's definitely a lot of ways to play that game, but either way, it's going to be a nice thing to check out. And of course, for the other game I want to talk about, Kirby Air Riders, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Looking forward to that a lot as well. I have seen some people complain, at least from the demos, of course, that the controls kind of feel a little stiff, and that kind of does make sense to me in some ways because even the original Kirby Air Ride kind of had some controls that they get used to a little bit. So, not surprised this one's kind of following suit, but even still, I'm sure it'll be one of those things once you get used to it, it'll still be a lot of fun to just kind of race around and stuff. And in other news, in regards to that game, actually, Sakurai himself, if you guys watched the last Direct, he actually pretty much said that there's not going to be sequels to that game, and also there's not going to be any DLC for it either. So, for the first time in a very long time, at least as much as I can remember, it seems like we're finally getting a full, complete game at the time it comes out. And if that's the case, thank fucking God.
It's kind of sad the bar is that low.
I know. Because I remember when it used to be the norm that, games would just come out and they were finished. You didn't have to worry about DLC or patterns or anything, or any of that crap. But, of course, we now live in an era nowadays where people can just, developers can just rush games out the window, release them with so many bugs and glitches, and then as long as they promise to fix it later on, and it's just like, why? Why are we accepting that? That's become such a terrible norm. So, the fact that Sakurai is actually going against that grain here is just awesome to see. Whether or not you like Kirby Air Riders, we're not your thing, you gotta appreciate that fact about the game. The fact that they're actually going out of their way to make sure that the game actually comes out fully complete and, there's full content from day one.
Now, the only thing is that will it hurt the longevity of the game in the long term?
I mean...
Because, DLC is a problem, but it has been DLC done right, like the Booster Course Pass and Mario Kart Deluxe, that kept Mario Kart Deluxe relevant for a very long time. So, and plus with Crossbows getting DLC too, I'm pretty sure that's going to help with its longevity. So, if I had a formed opinion, I think this might actually hurt, depending on how much content is in the game. If it's not enough to keep people satisfied for a long time, I can see the game dying out really fast.
Yeah, but hopefully that doesn't happen. It does seem like, though, that there is at least enough content to at least sustain it for a few years. So hopefully hopefully that'll be the case, and hopefully it'll still enjoy a nice long lifespan. But only time will tell, of course. But either way, like I said, I'm still looking forward to that game. I've been waiting for a Kirby Air Ride sequel for quite a long time now, especially because it was like the original Kirby Air Ride was like the first Kirby game I actually ever played. So the fact that we're finally getting another one is just awesome. It is kind of sad we won't ever be getting a third one, but hey, as long as this game is great, it's like I don't think it really matters too much anyway.
I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but I don't plan to get in the game because Kirby's not my thing. But I do hope you got fun with it, Nick. But I think Sakurai is trying to avoid being pressured into making a third one if this one sells good. Because I don't know if he feel like he can live up to the expectations. Sakurai is Kirby's like his baby, pretty much. So I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to disappoint it by making more and more that probably sell less and less. It goes for any console, franchise. A lot of franchises that go on for too long start to sell less and less, depending on what the franchise is. So I think Sakurai's trying to keep it to where he wants the writer games to be valued for what they are and not like devalue over time by making more and more games of it.
Yeah, and I think you do have a valid point there. It is definitely possible that he is trying to basically like kind of avoid the franchise from going off a cliff or something like that. But I mean, and like I said, obviously, it's not good. It's not good PR for like any company that had to deal with any franchise that is like declining in sales. So that definitely could be a possibility. But like I said, at the same time, it's like if like there's like a game you're like really passionate about and you want to make it as good as possible, and obviously if like you don't ever want to have to worry about the pressure about making other games. It's like why not just try to make that one game as good as possible? Especially because if we're being honest here, sequels to a lot of games and really just media in general are kind of overdone these days. A lot of people are just making sequels just because they can make quick money or whatever. So it's like trying to avoid that trap. I do think it's kind of admirable in some ways. You definitely want to stop sometimes while you're riding high. I guess is what I'm trying to say. You want to stop while you're riding high.
If only some franchises can learn to do that.
I know, right? That is definitely a lesson I wish more than would learn for sure. All right, well, don't have much more to say about this for this particular episode, but quickly end it out before I sign off. I do want to talk about a game that I finally actually got yesterday as a time recording, and that is Sonic Racing Crossroads. And like I said, that game's been out for 2 months now, but man, is it fun. I'm just going to say this right now. I truly do think it is the racing game of the year. I love the mechanics of it. I love just how smooth everything feels. I think in general that game is just a lot more fun than Mario Kart World. So the fact that we actually have a great Sonic racing game that actually beats Mario Kart for once, that is just crazy. I never thought I'd see such a day, but here we are.
I'm proud to say it. They actually put a lot of care into that game, so they deserve the W.
Yeah, for sure. And I definitely do think that that game unironically is gonna have a very long lifespan, and especially with this coming week with characters like Spin-Up and Patrick coming out. I mean, holy crap! It's funny too because I used to have a friend that would like joke all the time about SpongeBob appearing in like various game franchises. So the fact that it's actually happening for real this time is just like makes me wonder what planet I'm even living on anymore. But even still, it's great to see.
It's funny because I forgot who made this video, but I saw a video like a couple of days ago where people say that Sonic is making too many crossovers now. And this isn't Sonic's crossroads; it's going to be gaming franchise crosswords. I'm like, what the flying F are you talking about? Like, how can this like? They was worried that if Sonic has too many people not a Sonic base, that it's going to dilute the Sonic cast and make them not relevant anymore. I'm like, how does that make any sense?
It doesn't, yeah. I agree completely with you, Astro. That is just dumb, honestly. Like, first of all, why would you not want a franchise to expand its horizons? And secondly, it's like, I mean, honestly, when it's literally just like extra promotion and excitement for the Sonic cast. Wouldn't you want that? I mean, heck, even with Pac-Man World 2 Reap, the fact that we got Sonic levels for that game now that have come up as a result of DLC, I would think that should be viewed as a good thing, because like I said, it exposes the Sonic franchise more, builds a more hype for it, and obviously, it shows how versatile Sega can be. I feel like that should be something you should want.
But people got find something to criticize about, that sweet YouTube revenue.
Yep, for sure. People just want a reason to complain about anything, I guess. But then again, that is the internet for you.
People will just find anything to complain about just so they can get content.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, God forbid, they can announce tomorrow, for example, that the Mario and Sonic Olympic Games franchise is coming back, and then and then someday we'll and then make a video saying, oh my God, why is Nintendo selling out to Sega again? Why are they bothering with this again? Because it's like people have nothing better to do but whine. But like I said, people, and like Astro said, it's all about money. People just want to have something to bitch about. And it's very easy on the internet too when you can pretty much just turn on a camera and and just say anything you want and like make money or at least get views.
But at least Crossroads getting the praise it deserves, so I can't wait to pick it up. I'm gonna pick it up myself, but I gotta wait till Christmas. But I bet when I do it, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
For sure, and I can't wait to play that game online with you and many others. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of The Hour of Nick. Thank you all for watching. I know it's kind of a bit of a shorter episode just because, I didn't really have as much to discuss, but it was still definitely a good time for sure. And of course, obviously, it was a nice discussion. So thank you guys all for watching. I'll try to do at least 1 or 2 more episodes before the end of the year. So I hope you guys look forward to that. And thank you, Mark and Astro for joining along with me.
You're welcome, Nick, anytime.
Yep. All right. Well, you guys have a good night, and I'll see you guys for more Hour of Nick, probably in like a month or 2. Take care.